This is the outsider, my running mate, who turned a long shot campaign into a movement. Now, over in the other party, you know, if the idea was to present the exact opposite of a political outsider, the exact opposite of an uncalculating truth teller, then on that score, you got to hand it to the Democratic establishment. They outdid themselves this time.
Welcome back to Public Affairs on Peach. I'm Kim Passoff, and we're discussing the just completed GOP convention with Democratic strategist Theron Johnson and Republican strategist Julian Thompson. In this segment, we're going to talk about Trump's running mate, Indiana Governor Mike Pence. Let's start with Julian. Pence said that he is, quote, a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican in that order. Tell me what he's going to bring to this ticket with Donald Trump.
Well, I think that he balances out the ticket. I think it was definitely a good choice for Donald Trump on a lot of issues, not just social issues, but on the issue of trade, on the issue of NATO. Donald Trump isn't exactly a traditional conservative. So I think bringing someone who appeals to evangelicals, who appeals to Tea Party conservatives, was very smart. And I think the government experience and the gravitas of someone like the governor of Indiana, who is a former congressman, is something that was needed on the ticket.
So why do you think that he got the nod over Newt Gingrich or Chris Christie?
Well, strategically, it makes a lot more sense, and the ticket's more balanced. I mean, Newt Gingrich and Donald Trump are the same age, so I think that I think having a younger running mate was a good thing, and I think that Gingrich he's brilliant. He has a lot of wonderful ideas, and I think that he would make a tremendous senior White House advisor or Secretary of State. However, I think his time in leadership was back in the 1990s, and we're in 2016 now, so it's time for a new face.
All right, Theron, what do you think of Mike Pence?
Well, what was unfortunate for Governor Pence is that, quite frankly, Ted Cruz stole his thunder. I mean, now, let's talk about what really happened. What Ted Cruz did, and I agree with everything that Julianne said, that he was definitely out of line, but I think it was more of a move to say, hey, listen, you're not going to anoint this governor from Indiana to be the voice and the face from the most conservative most conservative wing of the Republican Party. So what it was is that the Pence move was to sort of calm some of the most conservative folks of the party down and say, hey, listen, this guy will appeal to you. But I think the challenges that Governor Pence bring are very interesting. Number one, let's not forget, this is the governor who signed into law a very, very divisive religious freedom bill, LGBT bill, that cost his states millions and millions of dollars. This is a gentleman who compared Obamacare to a 9/11. And this is also a guy who led the charge in Washington to defund Planned Parenthood. These are things that the general public and the general election voters are going to be reminded of. And so I think this politically arranged marriage between the two of them, while at the time it sounded like a good idea, it's already run into some bumps and bruises along the way. And I think ultimately he will not do as well as I think they think that he will do to attract independent voters.
But Julian, obviously he appeals to those diehard Republicans, and he has the ability to raise some money there. Do you think that that's why, one of the reasons that Donald Trump brought him on is his ability to fundraise? I
absolutely do. I think he makes a lot of traditional Republican donors a lot more comfortable. So I think that, you know, in that respect, it was a good choice. I think all around it was a good choice.
But let's not forget, the vice president, he or she, whoever it may be, candidate, really doesn't, you know, get a lot of airtime. And so he is going to be spending a large amount of time in, quite frankly, states that don't matter as much. He won't be in some of these big battleground states. So this is going to be the Donald Trump show. I mean, Pence is going to be along for the ride, but I think these things that we point out in him, he's not going to be able to display them in a very large way, because Donald Trump is not going to concede this message of divisiveness and hatred that he promotes in this country to Mike Pence.
And I think that what Theron's saying is true as far as traditional campaigns go, but this campaign has been anything but traditional. Yeah, and I do think that Mike Pence will get a lot of speaking time. I do think he will be put out in the important areas, and that he will have a major voice in this campaign, because it's good for the ticket for him to do that.
All right. Well, coming up next, we are going to take a closer look at the GOP platform when Public Affairs on Peach returns.